Perfect families don't exist. I used to believe they did, back when I spent hours arranging finger sandwiches and hanging streamers for Derek's surprise birthday party. Now I know better. Perfection is just another lie we tell ourselves. I remember pressing my palm against the kitchen counter, fighting off a wave of dizziness. 3 days of preparation had left me running on coffee and determination. The house gleamed like a magazine spread, exactly how Derek liked it. Everything had to be just right for his 40th. Maya, sweetie, careful with those balloons. I watched our 6-year-old daughter bounce through the living room, her dark curls wild with excitement. She'd insisted on helping, even though half the decorations ended up at her eye level. The grandfather clock in the hallway struck 4. Derek would be home in 2 hours, giving me just enough time to finish the cake and change into that navy dress he loved. I headed upstairs to grab my makeup bag, but voices from his home office stopped me cold. You worry too much. Derek's voice. He wasn't supposed to be home. Evelyn's clueless. She's too busy playing perfect housewife to notice anything. My hand gripped the banister. Through the crack in the door, I saw him perched on his desk, phone pressed to his ear, loosened tie hanging askew. Of course I'm sure about this, Grace. He laughed, that rich, warm laugh I'd fallen in love with 12 years ago. The transfer's going through next week. Once the money's moved, I'll tell her about us. She'll be devastated, but that's not our problem. The room tilted. I pressed my back against the wall, willing my legs not to buckle. Look, baby, you're young, ambitious. Everything she's not. Evelyn gave up her career to raise Maya. She's comfortable, predictable. But you? You challenge me. Make me feel alive. My chest tightened. Downstairs, I heard Maya singing to herself, oblivious to the way our world was splintering. The divorce will be messy, but worth it. I've already spoken to my lawyer. Derek's voice dropped lower. We'll need to be careful about the timing. Can't let her suspect anything before the money's secure. I slid down the wall, my legs finally giving out. The pristine hallway carpet scratched against my palms. Trust me, Grace. In 6 months, this will all be behind us. You, me, a fresh start. He paused. I never loved her the way I love you. The lie stung worse than the betrayal. I remembered every I love you, every anniversary gift, every morning kiss. All performances in his elaborate show. My phone vibrated. Sarah, probably checking on party preparations. I silenced it with trembling fingers. I should go. Need to make an appearance at this ridiculous surprise party she's throwing. Derek sighed. Another evening pretending to be the devoted husband. The things we do for appearances, right? I heard him stand, his leather chair creaking. Forcing myself up, I moved silently toward the stairs, muscle memory guiding my feet. Maya, where are you, princess? I called out, my voice steadier than I felt. In the kitchen, Mommy. I'm counting the sandwiches. I walked down each step deliberately, my mind racing ahead. The party guests would arrive soon, our friends, his colleagues, his mother Olivia. All here to celebrate the man I thought I knew. Mommy, there are exactly 32 sandwiches! Maya beamed up at me, cucumber pieces stuck to her fingers. I smoothed her hair, breathing in her innocent excitement. That's perfect, baby. Why don't you go wash your hands? We still have lots to do before Daddy's party. As she skipped away, I stared at the birthday cake on the counter. Happy 40th birthday to the world's best husband and father, written in perfect cursive. Another lie to add to the collection. I picked up my phone and opened my contacts. Some surprises, I decided, deserve an audience. The birthday cake sat untouched in the trash, its perfect cursive lettering facing up like an accusation. 3 days had passed since Derek's party, since I'd watched him blow out candles and accept gifts with practiced charm, all while knowing he planned to destroy our family. Maya tugged at my sleeve as we stood in the grocery store checkout line. Can we get ice cream? Daddy always lets me have ice cream. Not today, sweetheart. I scanned the contents of our cart, realizing I'd grabbed items on autopilot. Derek's favorite cereal, his preferred brand of coffee. Old habits. But why? You're being mean like Daddy. Maya's lower lip trembled. He hasn't played with me all week. The cashier glanced up, concerned. I forced a smile, though my fingers tightened around my credit card. Maya, remember what we talked about? Sometimes grown-ups get busy with work. Is that why he missed my ballet practice? She kicked at the shopping cart. Grace was there. She works with Daddy. She said hi to me. The cereal box crumpled in my grip. Grace was at your practice? Uh-huh. She sat in the back. She's pretty. Maya twirled, demonstrating a move from class. She told me I danced like a real ballerina. My phone buzzed. Another message from Sarah, asking why I'd been avoiding her calls. The cashier announced the total, and I swiped my card, mind racing. Grace wasn't just stealing my husband. She was infiltrating my daughter's life. Mrs. Carter? The cashier frowned. Your card was declined. Heat crept up my neck as I tried again. Declined. I pulled up my banking app. The joint account showed a balance of $127.43. Last week it had held over $15,000. I have another card. My hands shook as I dug through my purse. The transfer Derek mentioned, he'd already moved the money. While I'd spent 3 days pretending everything was normal, he'd been systematically dismantling our life. At home, Maya ran to her room while I mechanically put away groceries. The house felt different now, every family photo a mockery. I pulled out my phone and finally called Sarah back. Where have you been? She demanded. I've been worried sick. I need a favor. My voice sounded strange, distant. Can you watch Maya tonight? I have some research to do. Research? Evelyn, what's going on? You've been acting weird since Derek's party. I opened my laptop, pulling up our investment accounts. All empty. Nothing's wrong. I just need a few hours alone. Bull! Sarah's tone sharpened. I've known you for 15 years. You're a terrible liar. A notification popped up. An email from Maya's ballet studio confirming next month's tuition payment. Money I no longer had access to. He's leaving me. The words fell like stones. Derek's having an affair with a woman named Grace. He's emptied our accounts. My voice cracked. He's been planning this for months. Silence stretched across the line. Then, I'll be there in 20 minutes. Don't do anything until I arrive. I hung up and walked to Maya's room. She sat on her bed, hugging the teddy bear Derek had given her last Christmas. Mommy, are you crying? No, baby. I wiped my cheeks. Just thinking about how much I love you. More than Daddy loves Grace? The question hit like a physical blow. I sat beside her, pulling her close. What do you mean? I heard Daddy tell Grace he loves her. At ballet. Maya's voice was small. Is that why he doesn't play with me anymore? In that moment, something inside me hardened. Derek could destroy our marriage, empty our accounts, replace me with a younger woman. But watching our daughter's innocence crack under the weight of his betrayal, that demanded more than passive acceptance. I kissed Maya's forehead. How about we call Aunt Sarah? She's coming over to play while Mommy takes care of some grown-up things. Will everything be okay? I thought of the birthday party, of Derek's laughter on the phone with Grace, of our drained bank accounts, of Grace showing up at my daughter's ballet practice like she belonged there. Yes, baby. I smoothed her hair. Everything will be exactly as it should be. Private investigators don't come cheap, but neither does divorce. I sat across from Marcus Reed in his dimly lit office, studying the manila envelope between us. My wedding ring caught the light as I reached for it. Mrs. Carter, are you sure you want to see these? His voice carried the weight of 20 years watching marriages implode. Sometimes knowing less. I need everything. The envelope felt heavy in my hands. Bank statements, phone records, photos, whatever you found. He nodded, sliding a USB drive across his desk. The financial trail was extensive. Your husband's been moving money through shell companies for months. The account in Grace Miller's name received regular transfers starting last year. When I'd suggested returning to work, Derek had insisted we didn't need the money. When I'd mentioned feeling isolated, he'd bought me a gym membership I never used. There's something else. Marcus hesitated. Miss Miller isn't just a colleague. She's been positioned to take over your husband's department after his upcoming promotion. A promotion he never mentioned to you. The promotion I'd helped him prepare for, spending weeks rehearsing interview questions. They planned this together. The photos are time-stamped. Regular meetings at the Riverside Hotel, business trips that weren't business-related. He tapped the envelope. But it's the financial documents that'll help your lawyer. He's been systematically hiding assets. I opened the envelope, and my carefully constructed numbness cracked. Derek and Grace, entering hotel elevators, sharing intimate dinners. A photo of them in the park with Maya. My daughter perched on Grace's hip, Derek's hand on Grace's waist. The date stamp showed it was taken during my mother's funeral. My phone buzzed. Derek's face appeared on screen, probably calling about being late for dinner again. I declined the call. There's one more thing. Marcus pulled out another document. Miss Miller has a history. 3 previous workplace relationships with married executives, all ending in divorces. She's strategic. A pattern, not love, but calculation. The nausea I'd been fighting rose again. Your husband's company has strict policies about workplace relationships, especially between supervisors and subordinates. Marcus's tone shifted. The promotion announcement is scheduled for next week. The timing isn't accidental. My phone buzzed again. A text from Derek. Working late, don't wait up. Kiss Maya goodnight for me. I thought of Maya at ballet, Grace watching from the shadows, of Derek's empty chair at my mother's funeral while he played happy families with his mistress, of 12 years of memories tainted by lies. What would happen, I heard myself ask, if evidence of their relationship reached the board before the promotion announcement? Marcus leaned back. Hypothetically, both would face disciplinary action. The promotion would likely go to another candidate. Their professional reputations would suffer significantly. I stood, gathering the evidence of my unraveling life. Thank you, Mr. Reed. You've been very thorough. Mrs. Carter. He stopped me at the door. Whatever you're planning, remember that revenge can backfire. Make sure you're protected first. Outside, the evening air felt thick with possibility. I checked my phone. 3 missed calls from Sarah, a text from Derek's mother Olivia asking about Sunday dinner, and an email from Maya's ballet studio. The quarterly showcase was next week. Derek had promised to attend. I drove to Sarah's house, where Maya was having a playdate. Through the window, I watched her laughing with Sarah's daughters, innocent of the storm gathering around her. Sarah appeared beside me on the porch. Well? She asked. I handed her the envelope. He's been planning this for over a year. The affair, the promotion, all of it. Grace isn't just his mistress. She's his ticket to the executive floor. Sarah flipped through the photos, her expression darkening. That bastard. The park photo, during Anne's funeral, I'll kill him myself. No. I took back the envelope, my decision crystallizing. I have a better idea. The board meeting is next Thursday, the same day as Maya's showcase. Evelyn. He'll have to choose. I smiled, feeling the last traces of the perfect wife falling away. His daughter's performance or his precious promotion. Either way, Grace will be there to watch it all fall apart. The sun set behind Sarah's house, casting long shadows across the lawn where our daughters played. In my purse, The USB drive felt like a loaded gun. Sunday dinner at Olivia's house had always been sacred. Now, watching Derek charm his mother with stories about work, I wondered how I'd never noticed the performance behind his smile. The same smile he'd worn while telling Grace he loved her. "More wine, dear?" Olivia touched my shoulder, concern creasing her forehead. "Please." I held out my glass, catching Derek's sharp glance. He knew I rarely drank at family gatherings. Maya pushed her peas around her plate. "Daddy, will you come to my showcase? I have a solo." "Of course, princess." Derek reached across the table to squeeze her hand. "I wouldn't miss it." "Like you didn't miss her last 3 performances?" The words slipped out before I could stop them. Silence descended. Olivia's silverware clinked against her plate. "I had important meetings," Derek said smoothly. "But Thursday's different. I've cleared my schedule completely." Liar. The board meeting was Thursday. I'd memorized every detail from Marcus's files, the promotion announcement, the press release already drafted with Derek and Grace's names. "Actually," Olivia set down her wine glass, "I ran into Grace Miller at the grocery store yesterday. Lovely girl. She mentioned something about a big presentation Thursday." Derek's fork paused halfway to his mouth. I watched color drain from his face. "Grace?" Maya perked up. "She's nice. She watches me at ballet sometimes." Olivia's eyebrows rose. "Does she now? I should check my emails." Derek stood abruptly, pulling out his phone. "Work never stops, you know how it is." "Sit down, Derek." Olivia's voice carried an edge I'd never heard before. "Family dinner isn't over." He sat, but his leg bounced under the table. I felt the vibration through the floorboards. "Maya, sweetheart," Olivia smiled at our daughter, "why don't you show me that new drawing in your backpack? The one you did at school?" Once Maya left the room, Olivia turned to her son. "Would you like to explain why your colleague is attending my granddaughter's ballet practices?" "Mother. Or shall we discuss the lipstick on your collar last month? The one you said came from bumping into a coworker." Olivia's hands trembled slightly as she folded her napkin. "I may be old, Derek, but I'm not blind." I stared at my mother-in-law, pieces clicking into place. She'd known. All this time she'd known. "It's not what you think," Derek started, but Olivia cut him off. "Don't insult my intelligence." She turned to me. "Evelyn, dear, how long have you known?" The weight of the USB drive in my purse seemed to double. "Since his birthday party." Derek's head snapped toward me. "What?" "I heard you on the phone with her." My voice stayed steady, though my hands shook. "In your office, planning your new life together, planning to take everything." "You've been investigating me?" His charm vanished, replaced by something darker. "Going through my private things?" "Like you went through our joint accounts?" I met his gaze. "The ones you emptied last week?" Olivia's sharp intake of breath cut through the tension. "You did what?" "It's business, Mother. Temporary transfers for Grace." I pulled out my phone, opening the photos Marcus had sent. "Like these business meetings?" Derek lunged for the phone, but Olivia was faster. She took it, scrolling through images of her son's betrayal. Her hands shook harder with each swipe. "The park photo," she whispered. "That was the day of Anne's funeral. Your wife was burying her mother, and you were—" She couldn't finish. Maya's footsteps thundered down the stairs. "I found it! Want to see my drawing?" "Of course, darling." Olivia's voice wavered as she handed back my phone. Derek was just leaving. "But dinner's not finished," Maya protested. "Daddy has an important meeting," I said, the familiar lie tasting bitter. "With Grace." Derek stood, straightening his jacket. "This isn't over." No, I agreed, thinking of Thursday's looming choice, Maya's showcase or his precious promotion. It's just beginning. After he left, Olivia reached across the table and gripped my hand. In her eyes, I saw the same steel I'd been finding in myself. Whatever you're planning, she whispered, make it count. 3 days before Maya's showcase, I found Grace waiting outside our house. She leaned against her sleek BMW, designer sunglasses hiding her eyes, looking every bit the executive Derek wanted her to be. We need to talk. Her voice carried the confidence of someone used to getting her way. About Thursday. I glanced at Maya's bedroom window, grateful she was at school. There's nothing to discuss. Derek told me about Sunday dinner. She followed me to the front door. About the photos, about your investigation. My key stuck in the lock, hands trembling with suppressed rage. And he sent you to clean up his mess? I came because I respect you enough to be honest. Grace removed her sunglasses, revealing eyes that looked older than her years. The board meeting isn't just about Derek's promotion. It's about the merger. The door finally opened. I should have shut it in her face, but something in her tone made me pause. If Derek misses this presentation, 300 people lose their jobs. She stepped closer. Including single parents, people with medical debt, families living paycheck to paycheck. The manipulation was elegant, I had to admit. Appeal to my conscience, make me the villain. Maya's showcase starts at 4. I met her gaze. The board meeting's at 4:30. He could make both. We both know he can't. Grace's perfectly manicured fingers traced the doorframe. Just like we both know you're planning something. The question is, are you willing to hurt innocent people to punish Derek? My phone buzzed. A text from Maya's ballet teacher about costume measurements. Such a normal thing, in this surreal moment. Did you know? The question escaped before I could stop it. About his mother's funeral? Grace flinched. That was different times. Things weren't serious then. They were serious to my 6-year-old daughter, watching her grandmother being buried while her father played happy families with you in the park. I never meant... To what? To help him drain our accounts? To show up at my daughter's ballet practices like some twisted replacement mother? The accounts were his idea. Her composure cracked slightly. He said you were financially irresponsible, that you'd waste everything on... I laughed, harsh and hollow. And you believed him? Did the other wives waste money too? The ones before me? Color drained from her face. What are you talking about? Marcus Reed sends his regards. I pulled out my phone, showing her the investigator's report. 3 executives, 3 divorces. You have a type, Grace, or maybe just a strategy. She stepped back, mask slipping further. Those were different... Save it. I opened the door wider. Want to come in? See what a wasteful housewife does with her husband's money? The home-cooked meals, the children's books, the family photos? I didn't come here to fight. No, you came to manipulate me, to protect your investment. I smiled, feeling strangely calm. But here's what you don't understand. I stopped caring about Derek's career the moment he missed his daughter's tears at ballet practice, the moment he chose you over her. The merger is your problem now. I checked my watch. I have to pick up Maya's costume. She's playing the lead fairy on Thursday. Derek knows where to find us if he decides 300 jobs matter more than his daughter's heart. Grace put her sunglasses back on, armor restored. You're making a mistake. No. I watched her retreat to her BMW. I'm making a choice. Something Derek never had the courage to do honestly. After she left, I sat in Maya's room, surrounded by ballet shoes and fairy wings. My phone lit up with a message from Olivia. Grace just called Derek. Whatever happens Thursday, I'm with you. I picked up Maya's costume, silver sequins catching the light. 300 jobs, Derek's promotion, Grace's carefully laid plans, all hanging on one father's choice to watch his daughter dance. The stage was set. Now we would see what kind of man Derek really was, when everything he'd built came down to a single moment of truth. Thursday arrived with the weight of inevitability. I sat in Maya's dressing room, pinning silver wings to her costume while other mothers chatted about summer plans and dance camps. Their normalcy felt like a foreign language. "Is Daddy here yet?" Maya twisted in her fairy dress, eyes searching the crowded room. He promised. The clock read 3:45. The board meeting would start in 45 minutes. I checked my phone. No messages from Derek, but a text from Marcus. "Evidence delivered to the board, waiting for your signal." "He'll be here soon, baby." The lie tasted familiar now. "Let's fix your hair." Sarah appeared in the doorway, her expression tight. "Evelyn, you need to see this." In the hallway, she showed me her phone, a company press release, already drafted. Derek and Grace's promotions, the merger announcement, quotes about their innovative leadership partnership. "They moved the meeting up." Sarah's voice dropped. "It starts in 10 minutes. The floor seemed to tilt beneath my feet. "That's not possible. They can't." Grace's idea, apparently. To get ahead of any complications. Sarah gripped my arm. "What do you want to do?" Through the dressing room window, I watched Maya practice her solo, small face screwed up in concentration. The same expression Derek wore when working on important deals. "Call Marcus." My voice sounded distant. "Tell him to send everything. Now." "Evelyn." "They don't get to win this one." I turned back to the dressing room. "Not like this." Maya beamed as I entered. "Did you see my twirl? Miss Andrea says I'm the best fairy they've ever had." "You're perfect, sweetheart." I smoothed her costume. Absolutely perfect. The next 30 minutes passed in a blur of hairspray and excitement. Other fathers arrived, carrying flowers and cameras. Maya's eyes darted to the door with each new arrival. At 4:15, my phone buzzed. Marcus again. "Board in chaos. Evidence received. Derek and Grace removed from meeting." Then, from an unknown number. "You vindictive bitch. You've ruined everything. G." The showcase began. I sat in the front row beside Olivia, who clutched my hand as Maya's class took the stage. The empty seat beside us felt like a wound. "He's not coming, is he?" Olivia whispered. Before I could answer, the emergency exit door creaked open. Derek slipped in, tie askew, face ashen. Our eyes met across the darkened auditorium. In that moment, I saw everything. The board meeting's collapse, his shattered plans, the cost of my revenge. Maya spotted him too. Her face lit up mid-pirouette, and she missed her next step. She recovered quickly, but her confidence wavered. Derek started toward us, but stopped when his phone lit up. Grace's name flashed on the screen. He stared at it, then at Maya, then back at the phone. "Choose," I mouthed silently. He answered the call. Maya's wings drooped as she watched her father retreat through the emergency exit. When she stumbled again, tears glinted under the stage lights. "I did this," I whispered to Olivia. "I forced his hand, made him choose." "No." Olivia's grip tightened. "He made his choice long ago. You just made him face it." After the showcase, I found Maya sitting alone in the dressing room, silver wings crumpled. "I messed up my dance." Her voice was small. "That's why Daddy left, right? Because I wasn't good enough?" The victory I'd imagined, Derek's humiliation, Grace's downfall, the justice I'd craved, turned to ashes in my mouth. In trying to force Derek to face his choices, I'd made our daughter face them instead. "Come here, baby." I pulled her close, feeling her tears soak through my blouse. You were the most beautiful fairy ever. Daddy just forgot how to see magic. My phone buzzed again. Probably more fallout from the board meeting, more consequences of my revenge. I turned it off. Sometimes winning feels exactly like losing. I held my daughter tighter, wondering if the price of justice was worth the cost of her innocence. Derek showed up at midnight, reeking of whiskey and desperation. I'd been sitting in the dark living room, Maya's crumpled fairy wings in my lap, when his key scraped against the lock. You've destroyed everything. He stumbled in, tie gone, collar open. The board, the merger, my reputation, all of it. Are you happy now? Where's Grace? Gone. He laughed, hollow and sharp. Took a job in Chicago. Apparently, I'm too much of a liability now. The wings sparkled faintly in the streetlight filtering through our windows. Maya had cried herself to sleep hours ago, still wearing her costume. 300 jobs. Derek's voice cracked. You cost 300 people their livelihoods just to spite me. Funny. I stood, letting the wings fall. That's not what the board said when they saw the evidence of your embezzlement. The shell companies. The systematic fraud. He froze. What are you talking about? Marcus was very thorough. I moved toward my purse, where the final report waited. He didn't just track your affair. He followed the money. You're lying. The merger wasn't about saving jobs, Derek. It was about hiding your theft before the annual audit. I pulled out the documents. Grace helped you move the money, but she was smart enough to keep her name off most of it. His face contorted. You had no right! I had every right! The words exploded from me. You took everything. Our savings, our future, our daughter's trust fund. What was I supposed to do? Watch you destroy Maya's life too? Maya. He deflated slightly. I need to explain to her why I left. Make her understand. Understand what? I stepped between him and the stairs. That her dance didn't matter as much as your girlfriend? That Daddy chose a phone call over his daughter's tears? He lunged forward, grabbing my arm. You forced that choice. You and your vindictive little scheme. Derek? Maya's small voice froze us both. She stood on the stairs in her rumpled fairy costume, eyes wide. Why are you hurting Mommy? He released me instantly. Princess, I would never. You missed my dance. Her voice trembled. You promised, but you left. Grace says promises don't matter anymore. Grace talks to you? The whiskey seemed to evaporate from his system. When? At ballet. She says she'll be my new mommy soon. Maya clutched her stuffed rabbit tighter. But I don't want a new mommy. I want you to keep your promises. Derek staggered back like he'd been struck. Maya, baby, that's not. I filed for divorce this morning. I kept my voice steady. Full custody. The evidence of fraud goes to the police tomorrow unless you sign. You can't. Choose, Derek. I echoed my words from the showcase. One last time. Your pride or your daughter's future. He looked between us. Maya on the stairs, still wearing the costume he'd missed seeing on stage, and me with the papers that could destroy him. Daddy? Maya's voice was so small. Can you fix my wings? They got broken when you left. Something in Derek crumbled. He sank onto the couch, head in his hands. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry. But Maya had already turned away, padding back upstairs. Her door clicked shut with quiet finality. I placed the divorce papers on the coffee table. You have until morning. After that, the board gets everything. You've won, Evelyn. He looked up, and for the first time, I saw the man behind the charm. Small, scared, broken. Just tell Maya I'm sorry. No. I gathered the fallen fairy wings. You'll tell her yourself, every other weekend, if you sign. Or you'll tell her from prison. Your choice. As I climbed the stairs to comfort our daughter, I heard him crying. Not the calculated tears he'd used to manipulate me for years, but real, raw sobs of a man facing the consequences of his choices. Revenge, I realized, didn't taste like victory. It tasted like fairy wings and broken promises, like a little girl learning too soon that even magic can't make someone love you enough to stay. The divorce papers lay signed on my lawyer's desk, but it was the smaller envelope beside them that held my attention. Inside, a check from the board. Compensation for whistleblowing on Derek's fraud. Enough money to restart our lives, to replace everything he'd stolen. I didn't touch it. The funds will be frozen if you don't accept, my lawyer warned. The board wants this settled quietly. Through his office window, I watched Maya in the waiting room, showing Sarah her newest ballet moves. She'd stopped asking about Grace after the showcase, stopped waiting by the window during Derek's scheduled visits. What about the other families? I traced the check's edges. The ones who almost lost their jobs because of Derek's schemes? The merger's still happening, under new leadership. No jobs lost. He shuffled papers. You could consider this your reward for preventing a larger disaster. Reward. As if exposing Derek's betrayal had been about money rather than truth. About revenge rather than protection. The office door cracked open. Mrs. Carter? His assistant peeked in. Mr. Carter's mother is here. She's quite insistent about speaking with you. Olivia swept in before I could refuse, her usual elegance tempered by exhaustion. I'll make this brief. She placed a familiar jewelry box on the desk. Derek's grandmother's pearls. He wanted Maya to have them someday. Olivia, I'm not giving them to him or that woman. Her voice cracked slightly. They belong to Maya, to your family. We're not family anymore. No. She opened the box, revealing the pearls I'd worn at my wedding. But you're still the daughter I chose. The mother who protected my granddaughter when my son wouldn't. In the waiting room, Maya attempted a pirouette, giggling as Sarah steadied her. No trace remained of the heartbroken fairy from the showcase. The check, I decided, pushing it toward my lawyer. Send it to the company's Employee Assistance Fund, anonymously. Evelyn, that money is yours. No. I stood, gathering my coat. It's the price of revenge. Maya deserves better than that legacy. Olivia touched my arm. Derek asked about her again. He's different now. Humbled. Good. I picked up the pearls. Maybe he'll keep his next supervised visit. Show Maya that some promises can be rebuilt. In the waiting room, Maya ran to me. Mommy, Aunt Sarah says we can get ice cream. Can we? Actually, Olivia stepped forward. I was hoping you both might join me for lunch. If that's all right? Maya looked to me for permission, her trust a weight heavier than any pearl necklace. Your choice, baby. I smoothed her hair. Whatever you want. She considered this, then took both our hands. Can we get pizza? Daddy always said it wasn't proper for lunch, but... Pizza sounds perfect. Olivia squeezed her hand. Sometimes improper things turn out to be exactly right. As we left the lawyer's office, Sarah caught my eye. You okay? I thought of the unsigned check, of Derek's grandmother's pearls, of Maya learning to dance without watching the door for her father, of revenge giving way to something quieter but stronger, the power to choose our own path forward. We will be. I watched Maya skip ahead with Olivia. Sometimes broken promises make room for better ones. Later that night, I found Maya in her room, attempting to repair her fairy wings with tape and determination. Need help? I sat beside her, examining the crumpled silver. They'll never be perfect again. She frowned at the creases. But maybe they can be different perfect. I thought of the pearls in my purse, of Derek's supervised visits, of Olivia choosing sides, of how breaking something irreparably doesn't mean you can't build something new from the pieces. Different perfect, I agreed, helping her smooth a stubborn fold. That's exactly what they'll be. Maya held up the wings, now more origami than fairy tale. Do you think Daddy will like them? When he comes this time? I hope so, baby. I kissed her forehead. But either way, you'll still shine. The wings sparkled in her lamplight, their imperfect angles catching the glow like broken stars finding new constellations.